Welcome back to From Ideas to Income.
Very good. Episode 5.
We're 5 episodes in.
Sweet.
This is amazing.
Took a while, but we got here.
It did. Everybody has struggles. We've struggled a little here and there.
Yep. We had a couple changes in our household. We got a new kitten.
That's not just a new kitten. It's a 3 or 4 week old kitten.
Yeah, so if you hear a really extremely high pitch cry, that's a kitten.
She's wandering around here somewhere.
And we're not really good at owning pets, I guess. She's somewhere around here. Anyway, just don't step down too hard, I guess. Awesome. Anyway, we've had some feedback that our intros are a little long, so I'm going to kind of speed it up a little bit. How's that?
Perfect. Let's move it along.
Okay, thank you. Wow, time is money.
Time is money.
Come on,
Let's go.
Come on. All right, so we, as I hinted, hinted to, I guess. What's the word? From last episode.
You hinted that we were going to have like a witch, which is not true.
Yeah.
She is more of a free-spirited spell maker helper.
Spellmaker helper. That sounds like a witch to me.
She's not a witch. Don't call her that.
Okay. She did say in the interview. Okay, doesn't matter. So we had the pleasure of talking to Liara. She's the brilliant mind behind a store called The Wandering Wizard that's located in the first floor of the Provo Towne Centre Mall in Provo, Utah, right? I said right again. I need to stop doing that. Somebody told me I say right a lot.
Stop saying that.
I know, right? Okay. Did it again. Maybe it should be a drinking game.
I'm going to throw something across the table if you say right again.
So if you've ever walked by and been enchanted by shelves brimming with unique decor or intriguing spells or mystical candles or decor that is Dungeon and Dragon related, let's say, for the other nerds out here, then we know exactly the place you can go. Liara can help you with all of those needs. Her store is curated for what she calls neurodivergent nerds. That's her kind of
what she called them.
Targeted audience.
That's what she draws in.
But trust me, the dedication to her audience shines in every detail of her establishment. So we're excited to share the conversation with Liara, and afterwards we will explore what we took away from the conversations and give a little bit of NBA know-how on my side. And
a little bit of feedback and my thoughts.
Hi, Liara.
Perfect.
Is that right?
All right, here comes the interview.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to chat for me for my podcast, From Ideas to Income. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to hear your story. The whole mission of my podcast is to share the journey of starting a business, an entrepreneur kind of spirit, and the brilliance of building something. Mm-hmm. So to kick things off, would you be able to tell my listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit of what your company does?
So my name is Liara. I'm one of the co-owners of the Wandering Wizards co-op shop. I started out with a metaphysical shop called Mystical Elements Apothecary, and through trial and error ended up in this co-op, and it's been a lot better than owning my own store.
I bet. So what was the spark? What was where were you? Who were you talking to? Bring me back to the beginning of this. What gave you this spark of, I need to start a business?
So this is probably the weirdest answer you will get for this question. So I first wanted to own a metaphysical store when I was about 19. I was a massage therapist, and I wanted to own a witchy shop that did Reiki sessions and massage therapy and just a whole holistic healing center. And then around 20, I got pregnant and gave up that dream entirely.
Oh no.
And then when was it? I think about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. I just I don't know what happened, but I thought I was like happy and like good and all that stuff, and I just started getting major anxiety attacks every time I tried to leave to work.
Oh no.
And I had no idea why, but I just couldn't physically get out the door. So after about 7 jobs where in like, I don't know, like 2 months where I was able to get the job, make it to training, but as soon as training was over, I couldn't actually physically get to the job. I sat there and I was like, okay, what's going on? And then a lot of weird stuff started happening where I came into money despite not working. And I just sat there and I was like, okay, what do you want me to do with this? And I just, it's hard to say exactly like the idea in words, but I got the feeling that I was supposed to like basically create like a spiritual community center type thing. I grew up in Las Vegas, and down there when I first started getting into the metaphysical community, there was a bunch of community events that were either free or like a donation basis, and things that just were there to bring the community together. And then when I moved out to Salt Lake, I couldn't find any events that were less than like $20 per person. And that just financially wasn't sustainable to me as a single mother at the time. So I kind of just felt like I was supposed to create this kind of community space and got started on that path. Yeah.
Wow, that's inspiring.
Thanks.
Wow. So you just are a luck charm? Like,
I wouldn't say I'm a luck charm. I have a lot of bad luck too, but my friend, I don't know if you know what moldavite is. It's a crystal that basically like forces you into whatever path you're supposed to be on in life.
what?
Yeah, my friends nicknamed me the human moldavite because everything just kind of shoves its way into my life the way it should be.
Wow, that's a great superpower.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. It works like when I'm around other people too. Like everyone's like, you have no idea the impact you made on my life. And I'm like, I wasn't even trying.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are a good luck charm.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. I was walking around your store and you have such a unique like inventory. I haven't seen things like this before. This is an audio podcast, so we don't have anything I can't really show people, but I'm hoping that I can take some pictures or something to put onto my
They're
thing.
also welcome to lurk our social media pages.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
because I'm pretty sure we have like some pictures or videos or something on there, and if we don't right now, we will soon.
Perfect. So now validating a niche like this could be a little bit tricky. What steps did you take to ensure that there was a community of customers who would be excited about these products?
Oh, that wasn't hard at all. So the easy part was finding the nerds, honestly. And so, you know, like the Venn diagrams of like different niches and stuff. So with what our store kind of like stands for, the center of the Venn diagram is always neurodivergence. So, like,
That's hilarious.
yeah, and like I don't know why, but like so neurodivergence, there's like a couple things that usually like end up getting mixed in, and it's like witchy or fantasy based stuff, nerdy stuff, and like Renaissance festivals and like stuff like that. There's a couple other things too, but like, you know, those things fit our vibe. And so being that we're in Utah County where Evermore Park used to be, it's pretty easy to find the nerds. And then with also being in Utah, the spiritual community is kind of what's the word? So like it's easy to find them if you just look. Like they've kind of created their own little, I don't know what to call them, but like, yeah, communities. Like if you go on Facebook and like look up witchy or pagan or anything like that, you're gonna find like 20 different groups for Utah.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of like the
they're hidden but not hidden.
yeah.
Like,
so like the way that it was phrased to me is that Utah is a spiritual / witchy hotspot because the people who grew up in the church but like didn't really feel like they fit in there. When they grew out of the church, they started looking for other paths. And the spiritual community or witchy pagan community is kind of like one that a lot of people turn to because there's a lot of freedom in it. So yeah, we have a lot of people who are interested in all of this.
It seems like a very welcoming community.
It really is. There's some people who are a little bit gatekeepy about like things need to be done a certain way, but the like base idea around most people's paths is that it's whatever feels natural to you, and that no one else can dictate what your path is.
Wow, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really profound. I should put that on a shirt. Now, mall locations have their own like factors. How did you choose to be here, the spot? Did you have like a list of must-haves? Like, how did you get to this location?
So that one's a little bit of a tricky question. I didn't choose it at first.
Okay.
I was in another spot down in Orem, and then I ended up. I've known Jim, the owner of the Nerdy Wolf, since like Evermore days when he first started the Nerdy Wolf, and my daughter kind of ranted to him about some difficulties that I had been facing with an old co-partner, and he offered for me to come work down at the Nerdy Wolf with him. So he gave me some of the space in his shop, and then we started working together, and then it kind of grew into more of a co-op where we started inviting more and more partners from there. And then I'm not going to tell the rest of his story.
Yeah.
But there was some changes, and we decided that we wanted to kind of get more into a community gathering type of role. So originally we were going to move to this space down in Pleasant Grove, but there was some complications with the landlord there, and we ended up staying here. And I talked to the mall manager and told her kind of what our idea was, and she said that she thought this space would be good for us. So now we're here.
Okay. That's a pretty good story. I know a lot of people, I don't know a lot of people that have locations in malls. So that was kind of an interesting, like, I know if somebody were interested in getting into one of these locations, it's not that difficult, right? You just have to reach out to the owner.
Yeah, this mall, it's fairly simple to get started in. Other malls, it's a little bit more difficult. We did look into the Orem Mall just because they have, Dreamwalk Park just opened there.
Okay.
And we thought that that would be good to have like a new nerd mall with like the fantasy theme there and stuff. But it's a lot harder to get in there than it is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
this seems
5 times more expensive.
And this mall seems more small business friendly too.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the businesses in here, there's like a handful that are corporate entities, but everybody else seems a small business.
Yeah, and the management here really likes to work with the owners of their stores as well. So like they're a lot more interested in helping you succeed than you'll find at most places.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of vacancy here, so hopefully we can get some more small businesses in here.
Absolutely.
So what was the most daunting aspect of opening a store with such a specialized theme? And how did you overcome the doubts of that?
I would say it would be the upfront cost of getting started, because it's definitely a risk factor of, am I going to make this back? It wasn't that big of an issue for me because, as I said, I kind of just like stumbled into it and was like, okay, this wasn't even my idea, so obviously it has to succeed, right? So I kind of just jumped in, but my partner, well, like my real life partner, was always a little bit intimidated about how much I was spending, but it seems to have worked out pretty well so far.
It's great.
Yeah.
Now, getting the word out is crucial. What marketing strategies were most effective when reaching a this specific customer base?
Mm-hmm. So I know for Jim, he says that his biggest like marketing technique was TikTok.
Interesting.
Yeah, when he first started, he said that he would always ask everyone who came in the store how they heard about his store, and all of them would say TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah, I have no idea how to use TikTok. I am terrible with anything but Facebook because I don't like social media. I actually deleted my social media prior to opening the store and had to restart it after.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's fine though. It works out. But yeah, so for me, when I started running my shop, I just used Facebook, and I made my business page, and then I joined a bunch of different Facebook groups that were niche-y towards my target market, and I started promoting in there. And I think one of the things that a lot of people have mentioned was their draw towards MySpace was that it was more community focused rather than more profit oriented. And it was easy to tell from the way that I marketed it that I wasn't there to take your money. I was there to give you a space to feel welcome and feel like you belong and feel like you have that third space. And yeah, I would say that that's probably my biggest success, or biggest reason for success.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Now you've created a pretty specific vibe. How did you develop the store's aesthetics, and how do you maintain the magic across the different locations?
So we're still working on getting it set up in this space. My first store, I painted the walls black and just decorated it with greenery everywhere, and I just went with a nighttime forest theme.
Oh wow.
And it was really cool. And then we hung string lights everywhere, and it was all pretty and ethereal looking. Here, I believe we're gonna go for the same vibe. We've only been in this new space for about 2 weeks now, so we're still getting started on the decoration process. But I believe that is what we all agreed to do for the theme here as well.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm
That's
very
gonna
excited.
Be cool.
I can't really say for when we were in the Nerdy Wolf space because I wasn't in charge of decorating that one. And then when we had a temporary store while we were transitioning to this shop, and that one, I think that was kind of a group effort. One of our partners, her name's Lisa, and she's fantastic at all things cute, homemade, aesthetic-y stuff, so she helped a lot there.
That's great. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see. I'm just kind of looking around, imagining how awesome that would be. It's a lot of paint, though.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we're going to paint the walls black in this one, but I know that we're painting the floors black in the event space, and then we might do the walls black back there, but we will see because it is a lot of paint.
So what has been some of the biggest hurdles in catering to such a specialized niche market, with inventory management and finding this unique stuff? Because I've noticed a lot of stuff on your shelves I've never seen before. How does that work?
So a lot of our inventory is actually handmade. So the stuff over on the side of the wall is made by Petulant Pudgies. He sculpts everything himself and paints everything himself. So that's all custom finds that you won't find anywhere else. A lot of the stuff on this side of the store is made by Lisa Swenson. And same thing, she hand makes, I think 98% of her products. So that's also another reason why it looks hard to find. Everything kind of has her touch. Yeah. Jim, the owner of the Nerdy Wolf, he custom makes all of his products. He's at a vendor booth right now, so he doesn't have too much stuff in the store. But yeah, most people here just make their own stuff. A lot of mine is wholesale because a lot of mine is stuff that I cannot physically make. And then some of it's just stuff that I have made, teas and oils and different stuff like that. But yeah, the mortars and pestles and stuff, I can't make a cauldron. So those ones are bought wholesale. But yeah, the majority of our items are handmade though.
That's brilliant. Can you share a favorite customer story, perhaps a moment you helped somebody find the perfect item or that truly sparked their imagination or completed their collection or something of that nature?
I'm going to have to think on this one. So the customer memories that like stick in my head the most are honestly, because I kind of, my niche is like the more metaphysical side of it. A lot of times customers will come in the store and they'll like look through our products and then ask if I have advice on working with a specific kind of issue they're having. And then I kind of just work with them to create like custom spells or rituals or something to help with what they are having issues with. And then, those are the ones that kind of stick in my head the most, because usually they're very grateful that I was able to help them with their problem. I'll have people that message me online like later and give their thanks and update me on like how it worked out for them and stuff like that. So probably that.
That is crazy cool. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody that said something like that. You said that you can create spells and rituals? Uh-huh. That is cool. Like, how does somebody sign up for that?
Usually just talking to me. There's different like metaphysical stores around the city that you can go and like pay someone to make a spell for you. I like helping people learn how to do it themselves. So I kind of just give them a little bit of guidance and like ask what their needs are, and then kind of just like pull them to the things that I personally would use if I was trying to do the same thing, and let them kind of pick and choose what they want to custom make their own.
So that's what a lot of this stuff is like the parts of that, right? Like,
yeah. So we have like herbs up front. We have oil blends in the back. There's like the different ritual candles. We have like ritual bath salts. We have like body sprays that are intention infused. We have pre-made spell candles as well if people aren't very confident in creating their own. But we do try to help people have the power to make their own manifestations.
That's crazy. You need to put that on a business card. That's an awesome sentence. So if you were to go back and do something differently in your business journey, what would it be, and what advice would you give somebody that was stuck in that kind of spot?
Let's see. I think the thing that I would change the most is I would tell myself that I don't have to do it all alone. When I first started, I was scared that if I asked for help or had someone like working with me instead of under me, then the space wouldn't be my own. And I very much burnt myself out through that mentality. And then when I came into the co-op, instead of just having my own space, it was like a weight was lifted, and like I didn't have to have so much pressure on me anymore. And it definitely helped with the sense of community that I was trying to create as well, because there's more perspectives going into it, and like I was able to ask for help if I needed it and could actually delegate things. And I think that would be my biggest advice. And then what was the second part of the question?
What did you said?
Oh, okay.
So it was what advice would you give somebody in that kind of spot?
Okay.
And I do know that especially in the management world, delegating and that stuff is the hardest thing to learn, because people just can't do it as well as you. They don't have what you have, and so you're always going to delegate to something that's going to be less than what you do. But the problem is the thing is that if you can delegate, you have more people.
Yeah.
So you can get more stuff done. Right? It's not as good, but you get more stuff done.
Yeah. I've also learned that if I delegate and I have criticisms for it, then it'll not be the way that I want it the first time. But then after that, like it might have a touch of what the other person adds to it, but it'll also have the things that I suggested. So it's a learning curve, but it helps to, again, like create a collaboration instead of just having everything be on me.
Was there a specific, like a scenario that happened that sparked that? Like, were you like one day you were like me, and then the next day like something happened and then you were able to delegate, or is it just something that you just slowly learned?
I just got so burnt out at my old shop when it was just me working there and just me owning it, and like I didn't really have help or if I did, it was like, so I did have help, but it was like 2 days a week while I was doing other things. So it's still, I never felt like I had a break. And I burnt myself out on that process. And then kind of just was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And that's when I just kind of took the time to figure out what needed to change. And then I closed the doors and just moved full time back into the Nerdy Wolf.
Interesting. Now, the nerd market is evolving. Where do you see your store in 5 years, and how do you plan to stay relevant in this niche and keep your customers excited and things like that? Like, what's your plans for the next couple of years?
Community space is the biggest thing that we're trying to accomplish, because you can buy things online nowadays, but you can't go online. Well, you can go online to meet people, but it doesn't feel the same. And it's like hard to actually feel like you belong in like a sea of everyone looking for the same thing, but not knowing how to actually make those connections. So part of our plan is we're going to be hosting like game nights, anime movie watch parties, and like
Sounds fun.
Yeah. I know in fall I want to start hosting like fae balls, like seasonally. The first one we're planning for the fall so that I have time to actually get everything set up and organized, and then like create the event, post it, and like sell tickets and all that. But I want to have occasional things like that. Then we are also renting out the space to different communities that just like, we want to work together with everyone pretty much. So there's a company called Beyond the Gates. It's a LARP event made of like...
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's the old actors from Evermore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like they create their own storylines and basically do the whole Evermore story without Evermore Park. And they generally have their events spring to summer. And I've been talking to the owner of Beyond the Gates about possibly having stuff inside our space during the winter so that they can keep going without needing to worry about the weather and stuff like that. We've talked to a couple of different LARP communities about the same thing, if they need a space to practice during winter. And then, yeah, we're always open to ideas, but we're really just trying to work with the community to make everyone happy.
That's brilliant. Have you thought about like doing plays and things like that in here?
I have not thought about it, but if we could figure out the logistics, I think that'd be really fun.
Because I know that there's a lot of like restaurants that do that like dinner theater thing where you're eating and then a play is happening around you.
Yeah.
I could see the LARP community being able to do things while people are there, kind of a thing would be pretty cool. But the world's your oyster, right? I mean, something happened and like the nerds took over the world.
Yeah.
Like it used to be jocks and now we're finally on top.
Well, we realized that our mentality is a lot less harmful to others.
True. So how do you get like introverted people out of the houses to do this kind of stuff? Because a lot of nerds are kind of more introverted than anything. And building that community of, hey, hang out in a group doesn't seem to be something that they'd want to do. So how do you do that?
So being one of those introverted nerds, I know that the best thing for me is to give them something else to focus on while they're around people. So the spotlight's not on them. And there's like a sense of, oh, hey, we're doing this thing together. We're all focused on this one thing, but now we have something in common. And that tends to help a lot, especially if you want to start interactions after, then there's some kind of joint experience that you guys can talk about and kind of go from there.
Interesting. I'm glad that you kind of broke that, because I know a lot of people that are introverted and they're like, how do you make friends? I'm like, you got to go out and do things. And they're like, no, thanks.
Yeah, no, having something else to focus on so you're not the center of attention, but you can be involved is definitely the way to go for most people I know of.
I love it. So running a store can be demanding. What are some daily practices that help you stay focused and passionate in what you do, and something that maybe my audience could emulate?
Okay, so like first you get a punching bag. No, I'm kidding. So you know, like those Smash machine or the Smash warehouse.
Yeah.
No.
Get a baseball bat. Step one.
Exactly. Our break room is actually a Smash room.
Oh, sweet.
No, not at all. I don't know. What was the question again?
Yeah, so running this, it takes some energy to come here every day and do this. Like, what are some daily like things that you do that help you stay awake and passionate and keep doing what you do?
So being that we're a co-op, none of the weight rests fully on any of our shoulders. So I think that helps a lot from avoiding burnout. Like I'm generally in the store 2 days a week. I've been in a lot more lately since we've been getting set up, but on an average, I'm only here twice a week. So there's a lot of time to decompress and not really have to deal with that. So I don't have too much advice. I never really learned to cope after the whole burnout thing the first time.
Oh, gotcha. So you found more of like life balance, right? And
exactly.
So that kind of keeps you charged. Because I know being introverted, doing things like this, double burn your battery, right? Getting out there and doing things. And so just prioritizing your rest, I guess. If you weren't running a store, what other magical ventures would you be doing right now?
Hiking, foraging.
Did you say foraging?
Yeah, that's generally my go-tos around this time of year. Mostly because you can't do it year long, which is terrible. Road trip adventures.
You're just a free spirit.
Yeah, I like to wander.
Yeah. You seem very earthy. Like if you could jump into that picture right now, there's a picture on the wall of like a forest scene.
Yep, I am an earth element zodiac sign.
Interesting. So, well, I'm water, so I don't know how that would work. Anyway.
Just go swimming, you're fine.
There you go. I'll go surfing. Are there any other local businesses or individuals in the nerd fantasy community that you think I should interview next?
Drawn to Dragons and We Geek Together are two different stores that we work not like super close with, but like fairly close with. Like we host a number of activities that are kind of intertwined with their businesses as well. So I think that would be my recommendation, mostly because they're affiliates.
That's great. So I like to do this in my podcast at the end where I let the business owner kind of geek out a little bit about their business, maybe tell the audience like any upcoming events or like just like a self-promotion. So that way if somebody hears this, they'll know to come to Provo Mall and check you guys out.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to put all of their links. I'm going to put everything into the description. So you'll be able to get there if you have any questions or if you're interested.
So all of the events that we have, we will get them posted on our Facebook page and then most likely cross-promote to our other social media accounts as well. I'm really bad at remembering that other social media exists, but I'm sure one of my partners will help remember. Right now we have every Monday at 7:45 p.m. we have a Reiki meditation and sound bath. It's on a donation basis. The suggested donation is like $10, but if you can't afford that, feel free to come anyways. We are not looking to exclude anyone. We're currently getting another sound bath set up bi-weekly on Thursdays. We have some like D&D type stuff. That one I'm not running, so I'm really bad at promoting it, but the event page will be listed on our Facebook account. We're doing Tarot Tuesdays if you want to come just like practice tarot readings with someone under the guidance of others. Just kind of that way, people who don't really have people to practice on can come get a hang of how to give readings to others. And also it's just a really fun way to make new friends. Let's see. Yeah, we have like a couple of different craft events as well. Lisa, she, as we mentioned in the podcast earlier, she makes a lot of her items handmade. So she hosts different classes on how to make different things like that. So those are always really fun. And they'll always be something different. And again, they're posted online so you can see what's coming up. If you yourself host things and are interested in working with us, feel free to reach out because we're always looking for like new people to work with in that way. Yeah. I'm terrible with words. But yeah, okay. So, yeah. And then anything I missed, feel free to just message us online and ask questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. This has been eye-opening. There's a lot of questions I have now. I don't know anything about tarot. I don't know anything about this stuff. So I think I might have to join some of those classes.
Awesome.
So.
We're excited to have you.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that was a fantastic discussion about the understandings of a niche and her niche market and how that's absolutely critical for her type of business. And again, no matter how big or small of a niche, it's really important as a company to know how to navigate those waters.
I learned a lot. I like her free-spirited attitude. Like, I just think she's laid back. Of course, I wasn't there. I didn't get to see the whole interview, but I feel like she's completely laid. I'm feeling from just listening to her that she's a laid back, free-spirited person.
Oh yeah, she is. What's funny is that we've only done a few podcasts, but every time you listen to one after we do this entire thing and I edit it and put it out there, you want to go meet
I do.
the people. So
Don't you worry. I have a lunch break coming sometime this week that I'm going to end up at the mall to meet and go into this shop.
Liara.
Yeah.
All right, so should I start with the MBA stuff, or do you want to start with your kind of impressions?
So I'm just going to do one and then we'll kind of go into the MBA stuff. So I think the one thing that I liked in the beginning is how she talked about her struggles and how hard
Struggles
it was.
are always fun.
And it makes you think, wow, everybody has struggles. I guess you don't see them on a daily basis, but like everyone has them. And it makes you think of your like own daily struggles and how they're easily to be overcome.
Overcame works.
Yes.
Yeah, struggling isn't always positive, but it's always it's not always negative as well. Just a struggle is a struggle. Like again, in the last couple episodes, we were talking about how working for a corporation, it's a grind. But working for yourself is also a grind. You don't get away from the working hard attitude, but it's your grind, and you're actually doing something for your, like the outcome of all of that struggle, all that work is something that's benefiting your vision and your dream. Do you want to put the kitty outside or?
No, we're good.
Throw it in the fireplace?
Stop it.
Okay.
She's fine.
Seriously, this kitten is like what? About 3 inches in length. Like,
So small.
I feel like I'm going to step on it all the time. But I won't. Okay, so on the MBA side of the house, the kind of big thesis to this entire thing, as I was talking to Liara, was niche markets. So I wanted to kind of start this with a little bit of defining what a niche is for the people that don't know what that is. I want to talk about the powers of accidental niche and intentional niche. But to do that, let me just define what niche means. So a niche, a lot of times when people hear the word niche, they think of something like a small group or like a minority of things. But it's not really that. The definition of a niche is a specific group. See the difference? Like, it's not just a small group, it's a specific group. And I'll give you an example of this, right? Like if I'm going to start a bowling alley, right? I haven't aimed the company for anything but bowling. Like if somebody comes in and says, hey, I have a baseball bat, can I do baseball in here? It's not for you. Like I'm targeting my company for a specific audience. Bowlers, people that like to bowl, or people that like to that are professional bowlers, right? Really depends. I can even niche that down more. I can say I want a bowling alley just for people that bowl 300s. Like this is going to be
very specific.
It's very specific,
yeah.
right? And so you can do that. And a lot of companies do this either intentionally or unintentionally. Like for instance, that example, I was being very intentional. If I really want to focus my business on bowlers that are just the best of the best, like they go to the Olympics or whatever the big bowling tournaments are. It's going to be a big different atmosphere than a bowling alley that was targeted for college students, right? We're going to have big colorful balls. We're going to have like the neon light nights, things like that. But the professional bowlers, they want to have like everything is like perfect, like the waxing of the floor is perfect, things like that. Mm-hmm. But an accidental niche is a little bit different. An accidental niche is, let's say, for instance, I'm a baker.
Yes.
And I make baked goods. And I start my bakery kind of with the idea of I want to make donuts. So I make donuts, but my wife comes in and she starts making sourdough. And the sourdough is way better than the donuts. In fact, it's so good, the sourdough is so good that people start coming in to order just the sourdough. And eventually, people start calling us the sourdough people or the sourdough company instead of the donut place.
Yeah.
And so now we recognize that. Everybody that talks to us about sourdough bread. Well, we've accidentally kind of walked ourselves into a niche. And if we have a niche, okay, that's fine. We have an audience, a targeted audience. And so at that point, we could, I don't know, make our sourdough better, or we could try other things, complementary things, like we could start doing chili and make the sourdough bowls. Might sell better because we're trying to broaden our audience a little bit, but we're staying in that niche of sourdough.
And that's what she did. Like she did a niche of nerds.
Yeah. I think what she did is she did an accidental niche, right? She did, because if you listen to her, the interview, she didn't start with nerds. She started with like massage therapy, and she did like, I couldn't remember what she called this physical world or something like that. Like, I'm just going to call it that.
Yeah.
But her like targeted thing, the thing that the solve that she was trying to bring into the world was helping people feel better mentally and physically.
Yes.
And then she just kind of, as her life progressed, she got to know the guy who owns the Nerdy Wolf, and she got to know the people that do the kind of more nerd stuff. And now she has this niche that if you listen to her, she's very confident in knowing what her niche is. She even said it. It's a neurodivergent nerds. Like that's her targeted audience.
So she's comfortable. She's comfortable in what she does.
She is. And she now has a focus. And so that was my first thing. And so what I wanted to do, it's a kind of a new thing I felt like would be fun, is that I wanted to have an audience takeaway. What do you think?
That would be nice. Like to have like, more of a broad.
I'm just kind of reach out to our audience and they can talk back to us and we can bring this up in the next episode.
I'd like to know what people's secret niches are.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Is like, think about what your own accidental or intentional niche is, right? I mean, you can think back to the last episode where we talked to Robert Harris. Mm-hmm. Is that an intentional? Is that an accidental niche? He is in the hearing aid, world. So he has a niche. I mean, he's not going to be selling hearing aids to people that hear fine. He's not going to be selling hearing aids to dogs. He has a specific niche, right?
Yes.
Was that accidental? So my thought is for the audience is to think about what your own accidental or intentional niches are, especially if you are running a business or thinking about running a business, right? Like if you are a plumber, let's say, is your niche emergency plumbing for restaurants? Or is it like eco-friendly plumbing? Like be specific about what you think your niche is.
I'd like to know what people's niches are.
So, think about your world of sales, right? Who do you sell to? I mean, you're not selling to plumbers, right? You're not selling to kindergartners.
We're selling to families that need heating and cooling. Like they want to stay warm in the winter and cold, cooler in the summer. And so for that to work, you're hitting a certain target of people.
Right. And so that's your niche, right?
That's my niche.
And so if you know your niche, right, and you're going to go do your sales, you're not going to call them and make clown noises and like jingle keys because you know that niche is not going to like that.
Yeah.
You know exactly what your script says because you're targeted to a specific group of people.
Yeah.
Right? People that their air conditioner just went out or their heater just went out in the middle of winter, right?
Yep.
And so that I think is it's a good takeaway for the audience if you're thinking about starting a business, is to first of all cater to that niche. And I'll get more into my next thing, but let's go back into the layman world. What other takeaways did you take from this conversation?
I loved how she doesn't realize how people are drawn to her, but people are like drawn to her, and she helps people. Like people come in and like are able to be drawn. Like she helps them make like spells that they need. If she can't find something for them, she recommends a candle that has different things in it. She brought up how she can't make all of this stuff herself. So she does have to like go out into the world and get stuff. I mean, that is something that like she mentioned. And because she can't craft a cauldron. I mean, that would be awesome if she could craft one. But like how people are drawn to her, and she has no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, it's a supply chain.
It is a supply chain.
Even if it's a small supply chain.
Yeah.
She knows a couple of people who are artists. She knows a couple of people who can build stuff, and she buys things for wholesale.
Yeah.
So the products that she has in her establishment don't start with her.
No.
They start outside and they get brought in.
And that's how it goes. Is like, and then she's not realizing how the impact that she's making on people.
Yeah. I know
until after they leave,
really
and then
like
she's
that.
like,
you really like how people help people.
I do. Because that's, that's drawn. Like, how is it? It's super nice that maybe we can say she's a mentor in a way. And people recognize that, because I've had mentors in my life where I go back later and thank them, and they have no idea the impact that they made on my life. Like, she has no idea the impact that she's making on people's lives.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute, right? I know that you really like people that benefit society. You like people that are just nice and they're helpful. And I see Liara as a person that brings people together. Like maybe she was talking about that tarot reading, right? She's put a place together where people can not only get tarot readings done, but if you are a tarot reader, you can, and you don't have much experience, you can come in and try it out and have other tarot readers help you out. So it builds that kind of sense of community and help. And I think that's something that you're really into, is just like that.
That is something.
Positive energy.
The positiveness.
Positive mojo kind of stuff.
I'm not a negative person. Yeah. I don't like negativity. Negativity brings me down to my lowest. Maybe that was a struggle. I have to separate myself from negativity.
Yeah.
Because that is something that I used to struggle with.
Good luck with 5 teenagers. Or no, they're not teenagers anymore, but.
Adults. Something else that I found very interesting is how supportive Provo Mall is.
Yeah.
And how they're able to talk to the owners. And the owners are very helpful. And she talked about going to the Orem Mall. And how she feels the Orem Mall is just money, 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 money. But the Provo Mall is helpful, and they want to get the word out. And so they do little things to help and not like big things.
Yeah, it's a stark difference between what we were saying in the last episode, which was like the mall is terrible and the owners need to be flogged.
But now we're learning that they help small businesses, because there's so many small businesses inside of Provo Mall.
Yeah, I learned a couple things about that. Number one, the Provo Mall is mainly small business at this point. It seems like a dying mall, but it's the cat is climbing up my pant leg, like inside my pant leg.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so number one, it's small business, like helpful, I guess. And another thing that I learned about the Provo Mall, or malls in general, is that if you want to get started in a mall, if you want to have one of those places, you don't pick your room, you don't pick the building. Like you go to the mall
and they
management
pick for you,
and they take your idea and they figure out how it like fits within the mall itself
and the culture of where it needs to be.
Like, for instance, the retro store that I interviewed, they were talking about, this is for a future cast, but they were talking about how they are directly underneath the movie theater, and that's not by accident. They were told to be over there because that's more of the entertainment side of the place, which was interesting.
That is interesting.
So with that said, like, would you want to, how knowing that about the mall and the mall environment, how does that help you?
I don't know. It makes me want to maybe go out more in the middle of the week because I'm terrible at that. I am a one-day shopper. If I can't get it all done in one day, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I am not a person that goes out in the middle of the week and goes shopping unless it's like an emergency or a dire need. If this is something that can be done, I would do it on a Saturday. But I feel like if I want to go in and have this conversation and figure out, like, is there something that can help me? Then I need to go in before 4:00 because she mentioned that after 4:00 is when it gets busy, and have this conversation.
Yeah.
And that's something that maybe out of my comfort zone that I need to step out and do.
Yeah, I think you would like her. I think you would like. I don't know if like you're into the whole D&D stuff, but I think you would like it.
Well, I want to go check it out. Absolutely.
Awesome. So the next thing that I want to talk about on the NBA side of the house when it comes to niches is kind of the idea of knowing your tribe. So I talked a little bit about how to know if you have a niche or what kind of niche that you have. But now what? Now I know I have a niche. Like, how do I understand and connect with my niche audience, right? So first of all, let's talk about her niche a little bit, because I want to do one simple definition just for the people that don't understand what neurodivergent means.
Okay.
So when you talk about this term, we're referring to people whose brains are wired a bit differently from what is considered typical. And this isn't about being better or worse. That's not what we're saying, but it's simply having a brain that processes information or learns or experiences the world in a unique way. It's kind of an umbrella term that includes people that have ADHD or OCD or autism. Dyslexia could be in there. Just those kind of things where it's just something that you can't help. But it causes you to see the world a little bit different. The key idea is that the neurodivergent is a natural and valuable part of the human variation. It's much like color or height, right? Having a different skin color or a different height doesn't necessarily affect you being a human or part of the human condition. It's just a word to describe something that's a little bit different. So our guest understands this, and that's why she was calling it neurodivergent nerd as kind of like a homage, kind of a funny takeaway. But it gives us kind of an idea, a sense of that targeted audience that she's targeting. I don't know if I put it in the cast, but before the cast, and I was doing some introductions, she was saying how she struggles with autism. And so I think it's just
that is something she did mention.
Okay.
That is something that she did mention, that because she asked you not to directly look at her while you were doing the podcast. Yeah. That was a distraction for her.
Right.
Maybe it made her feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so it
Which
was
is
just,
fine. I always try to keep everybody comfortable during the interviews. And
what's
so
the best is, keeping them comfortable is the most important thing, because I felt like she opened up to you more because she got a little bit more comfortable with you, and you being able to recognize
I'm basically
what she was asking.
The best interviewer. I'm just kidding. I sound terrible.
That's what you tell yourself.
I've got to get better.
Okay.
I've got to get good.
Okay.
Anyway, so I just wanted to do that a little definition, because she understands her market, but do you understand your niche market?
Yes.
So what are the specific, like if you're thinking about your niche market, so let's pick on you a little bit, right? You are talking to people who need air conditioning or heating, right? So what are the current pain points? What are the things that those people need?
Well, you need, in the winter, obviously you need heat. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing is like getting us out there to identify what your needs are. We don't just walk into a home and say, I'm giving you this, this, and this. We come in and we understand.
Right.
And we sit down and we talk to you and we understand what you need.
Yeah.
And then in the summer, you need cooling. We went through that where we went 2 weeks without an air conditioner. And I think it was the longest 2 weeks of hell that we have ever went through.
Oh yeah, remember that?
I would rather go without the cold water that we had. We lived a week with no hot, like a few days without hot water. I would rather do those days again of taking cold showers and all of that than living without heat. I'm not heat, but I'm sorry, but without cooling. It was miserable.
Yeah, because of that, we bought a standalone air conditioner that
But
we
yeah,
have in the
but I mean, it
cold
goes
room,
back
just in
to
case.
you have to understand people's needs and understanding that the niche nerd is what she's calling that is what it's being called. Then that's how she's understanding people, and that's how people are drawn to her.
There's this thing called empathy mapping, right? What you were talking about is that's the fancy term for it. It's where you talk to your niche audience and you empathize with them with what they see, hear, feel, taste, whatever. And in your world, it's like, all right, these people are calling you because the air conditioner went out in the middle of summer, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't just be like, haha, I have air conditioning, sucks to be you. No, you have to empathize.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that sale unless you're like, oh, wow, I remember what that felt like. We got to get this solved as soon as possible. Like, you have to have that empathy and you have to have that language and tone, right? With this kind of, like in your world, a lot of these people don't call unless it's an emergency.
Oh, yeah.
And so your tone has to be like, we got to get this done.
Well, yeah.
If you
And
sound
you have
like,
to
oh, that
understand.
sucks, we'll come in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
They're going to go find somebody else.
Well, and and I feel like that's the difference between like the company that I work for and other companies. I'm not going to list names because,
Right.
But with my company, we can come see you and we can get you an air conditioner next day to fill your needs.
Yeah. And so that sells because you are empathetic and you have that tone and that like for your niche audience, which is very specific in this case. You have people that need an air conditioner in the middle of summer. That is a very specific niche.
Yeah.
So so if you're in a world where you have a niche audience, how do you ensure your products resonate with that niche audience? Now we were talking about air conditioning, but if we take something else like her world,
Yes.
where we're selling magic spells and stuff, right? And this is where I try to kind of talk to her a little bit about like, how do you target to this audience? And I think she had a couple cool things, like for introverted people, to make them not the spotlight of attention, like give them something to do so they don't feel like there's eyes on them all the time.
Yeah. Well, and that's, we have introverted children, and you talked about how their batteries burn out and they can only go out for so long. But if they go into the store and she's focused on them, it's going to make them uncomfortable. But if they come in and she lets them look around and then they come to her with questions, it makes things a little bit more easy, I would say.
Yeah, she really changes the idea of trying to be everything to everyone with actually being everything to someone.
Yeah.
Like she's very good at like understanding her market and being empathetic and have.
Okay, we're gonna have to take a break.
Why is the cat exploding? What's that noise? It sounds like it's coming. Is it coming from in there? Is it stuck? Did it get stuck in the fireplace again? Just kidding. Wop wop.
Where are you, baby? Oh.
Marco Polo.
What do you need? You're just being needy? Are you trying to find your bed? Here.
I was happy again. Cool. You did it. You're such a good mother. All right, I have one last little bit here, and then we can go to yours and then close it up. What do you think?
Yes, I just have one last thing at the end, and then we can wrap her up.
Okay, so I'm going to continue where
Go
I
ahead.
left off. Okay. So you'll have to. So again, I'm trying not to beat a dead horse here, but really in the themes of niche, let's talk about the marketing to a very niche audience. So normally marketing, we kind of associate it with selling something. We're trying to sell a product or a service. But with marketing to a niche, it's more of a connection. You're trying to find somebody that's really specific, a very specific audience, and you already have the sell. You already know what that niche truly wants and needs. But now we're trying to market to them to come buy our stuff instead of our neighbor's stuff, right? Maybe our neighbor is also selling to a specific niche that's very similar to our niche. So this is where we have to start making a connection to these customers. And we need to make marketing that speaks directly to that niche interest. And we need to build a community around that brand. I know we say brand a lot around here because I think brand is really important. But in this world, when we have a niche audience, I think building that community around it is super important. In fact, when I interviewed a board game store, they were telling me how it's not about, normally like Walmart does, everything is about volume. I can order a pallet of stuff for cheap because I can get it for mass and then I can sell it and make a profit. Well, when you're running a board game store, you're not going to buy a pallet of board games. It's not going to sell. You're going to lose money. So everything that they buy is basically MSRP. So they're not making really good money. The margins are pretty thin, but what they're selling is that community of come here and play Pokemon cards, hang out with other people. And it's what he explained. It was like he's trying to build a tavern atmosphere where people start to know each other and they want to come there because of that community. So that's my kind of input on the niche world. If I connect it back to Robert Harris again, like how does his business speak to his tribe? Like it's in my opinion, it's like a reassurance or a promise of reliability. And he has that personal touch of understanding that hearing is a very deep and personal thing, but he also understands that he can raise the quality of somebody's life if he can help them with their hearing. I know you're taking care of that kitty. I'm sorry.
I don't know what she needs.
I know. I'm just, I hear my voice a lot and I don't want to bore people.
No, you're fine. I just don't know what she needs, and she's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, she's just everywhere. Maybe she needs to go to the bathroom.
I don't know.
We're trying to outdoor train the cat, and so far so good. We have another cat, and he's already outdoor trained, so why not? No litter boxes. Hashtag no litter box.
Hashtag we will not do litter box.
Yeah. So I'm going to add one audience takeaway thing, and then I think we can close
Wrap it
up
up.
unless you have anything else to
So
add.
the one thing that also drew me to a lot of hearing was that something that I struggle with, and I learned that she struggled with, was delegation.
Oh, yeah.
Delegation's super hard, and I think that we all struggle with that. So maybe this week I will challenge not just myself, but I will challenge other people, and I want to hear, were you able to delegate? Were you able to...
Yeah, what's your biggest challenge in delegation?
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge in delegation? What is something that you struggle with that you want to delegate?
Yeah, add a bunch of weird stuff in the comments. It'd be weird.
Yeah.
Make it weird so I have to go in there and edit stuff. Just kidding. My audience takeaway is that I just want to challenge the listeners to define their ideal customer more deeply. If you don't know who you're talking to, then how do you expect for them to hear what you're saying, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Hearing is in the ear of the beholder.
And you kind of hear what you want to hear. So, I mean, that's another thing.
Yeah, I just think that emphasizing that connection to your niche audience is pretty much the bedrock of successful niche marketing. And that's kind of basically where my themes kind of end when it comes to this conversation.
Yeah.
I know that you were talking about delegation, which I think is a super important thing. I don't know if we want to dive into it more, but it's one of the reasons why most managers fail, actually, is because they feel like they can do a better job. And so what happens is they start working 12 hours a day while they have employees that sit there twiddling their thumbs because nothing's being delegated to them. And getting past that hump of understanding that you're there to coach. They're probably not going to do as well as you, but if you can coach people, you will be able to have an army of people that can get things done quicker than you can. It won't be as good.
Well, yeah, but delegation happens everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of different delegation things that happen.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what you're saying is like you can practice this in all types of different ways in your life. It's not just in a business sense.
yeah,
You
it's
can
not just in a business
delegate
sense.
to your wife. Can I delegate to you?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to delegate this editing of this podcast to you.
You're the cutest thing ever. Look how cute you are. If you weren't so cute, I tell you what. But I mean, delegation is a hard thing for everyone. Just a quick delegation here. We have 5 kids. I've been home for graduation for 4 kids. Our 5th kid comes around. I have a job that I had to be at. And I had to rely on Dan. I had to rely on Bree to help get graduation going. Dan, I had to rely on him to make sure that Alex was dressed. His cap and gown were ironed and Alex was
Look
pretty.
at the burn mark I got
know.
from that.
And Alex was pretty to go out the door. And I wasn't here to take pictures in front of the house. I had to rely on someone else to do that. I had to rely on somebody else that we all showed up on time, that we got there, that we had seats, and that I was just coming from work and I was just there. That was a very hard day for me, but I was able to delegate it out. And in the end, it ended up being a perfect day.
Yeah, because you delegated to me. And
because I delegated it to you.
I like how you rolled your eyes there.
But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, and that's something that she mentioned. Like, delegation's hard. Delegation's not easy.
Everyone struggles with it.
Everyone does. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I'm coming. I'm coming to the store because I want to see what I can be helped with.
Yeah.
I'll
see. Can catch you a spell that will make you taller, stronger, and run faster. That's what I'm going to ask.
Maybe she can put a spell on my shoes and I can run faster.
There you go.
So.
Anyway, so you can find Liara in the Provo Mall. She's on the first floor over by, across from
Bath and Body Works.
Bath and Body Works currently.
Yes.
I don't know if she'll move around. Just kind of poke around the mall. Another place that you can find her is she has a Linktree address. And so I'm going to put it in the description, but I'll just read it out real quick. So it's Linktree/Wandering Wizards Shop, and it's Linktree spelled weird. It's linktr.ee/Wandering Wizards plural shop. She says she's going to have that's going to be kind of her main hub of where you can get to all of her rest of the social media. I'll put that in there in the description. And so I hope you guys check her out. Her establishment looks really cool, especially if you listen to, she's going to be changing the aesthetic pretty soon to make it look more mystical. And so I can't wait for that.
I'm excited. And there will be some feedback because stepping out of the comfort zone this week, I'm going to go see her. And then next podcast, I will personally have some feedback.
Is that a threat? You're going to go see all the people that I've interviewed?
Yes, because I'm jealous that you get to do the fun things.
You can always come. You want to do the next interview?
I can't.
Okay. Well, here's a little sneak preview of the next week. I interviewed an artist. She's an environmental artist. She likes to paint environment, like imagery, because she's also an environmental activist, and she's doing a lot of work on that side of the house as well. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in the artsy side of the house. But again, business is business, and most of what she shares very similar to some of the struggles that all entrepreneurs share, with a little spin on how do you get an art established, like how do you take art and make it into a business?
That's interesting. I'm excited to figure it out.
Cool. Thanks so much, Becki.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.